What if I told you that the greatest mission field in history isn't in some distant country or a crowded city, but in the palm of your hand? Now, I know that sounds dramatic, but stay with me. Let's think about the early church together. How did the gospel spread? It wasn't through stadium events or million-dollar ad campaigns. It was through people sharing their faith letter by letter and conversation by conversation. Then came the printing press, and the Bible was finally in the hands of everyday people. Let's fast forward again to when radio and television came out. Suddenly, the message of Jesus was reaching homes across the world, and now we're in a new era. But this time, we have the ability to reach people all across the world in different walks of life at just the right time. The mission field is online. And for centuries, churches have operated without social media, without live streams, or a digital presence. So why does it matter so much right now? Why should your church or ministry invest in it? And the answer is very simple. It's because people's habits have changed. The way we communicate, learn, and even explore faith is radically different than it was just 5 years ago. We can't afford to pretend otherwise, and if we truly want to reach people where they are, we have to acknowledge the reality. People are online, they are searching for answers, and if we stay silent in the digital space, someone else will speak for us. So in this video, we're going to talk about why digital ministry isn't optional anymore, it's essential. We'll break down the biggest fears and objections that hold churches back, and most importantly, I'm going to give you 3 simple steps to start today, no matter your budget, your skill level, or experience. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll see why this isn't about fancy lights and cameras and technology. It's about people. It always has been. And if reaching people is your mission, then you need to be where they are. Let's dive in. Let me hit you with some numbers. Right now, there are 5.56 billion internet users worldwide. That's almost 70% of the global population. And within that, over 2.7 billion people actively use platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube every single month. Now, this is where it gets interesting. A recent Pew Research study found that 30% of US adults regularly search for answers to their spiritual questions online. That's over a quarter of people that are consuming faith-based content digitally. Many of them outside of a church building, and it gets even deeper than that. Millennials and Gen Z don't just attend church less, they Google faith questions first. Let that sink in for a second. Imagine someone struggling with anxiety. Maybe they've never been to a church, but one night they're alone, they're overwhelmed, and they're searching for answers. They're searching for a lifeline, and they type into YouTube, what does the Bible say about anxiety? How do I pray if I feel lost? And at that moment, 2 things can happen. They find a gospel-centered video that speaks to them, helps them, and draws them closer to God, or they find something else, maybe misinformation, maybe confusion, or maybe nothing at all. And here's the hard truth. If your church isn't providing content that answers these questions, someone else will. So I ask you again, if people are searching but you're not there, then who is? If we're called to be the light of the world, we have to ask ourselves, are we shining that light where people are actually looking? I want to share a quick story with you. I work with a smaller church with their presence online, and they started from absolutely nothing, barely even a website. But after just 3 months of utilizing the Google Ad Grants, they started seeing new young families come to their church, and their membership began to grow, and baptisms were happening more often. And they asked these people, how did you find out about us? And their answer? Online. They simply went to Google and looked for a church near them. That's the power of digital media. You aren't just throwing effort and hard work into the wind. You are quite literally planting seeds for people to find. And hopefully when they do find those seeds, they will find the truth about Jesus Christ. And here's what happens when your church embraces digital media. You're going to reach people beyond Sunday morning. Don't get me wrong, Sunday morning attendance is great. We all love seeing the building full, but what if your message reached thousands more throughout the week? Imagine your sermons, devotionals, and teachings going past the pew, past the chairs, and being watched across the country or even across the world. You also strengthen your community. Digital ministry can never replace in-person connection, but it absolutely can enhance it. We all know there's a lot of misinformation about Christianity online, so why not be the voice that brings truth? Short, simple Q&A videos like, what does the Bible say about forgiveness? How do I pray? These videos can reach thousands of people searching for answers, sometimes before they ever step into a church. Now, you might be thinking, that all sounds great, but we don't have the budget, we certainly don't have the time, and we don't even know where to start. And I hear you, so let's tackle those right now. If you don't have the budget, well, the good news is you don't need expensive cameras or a fancy studio. Your smartphone and natural lighting is more than enough to start. There are free tools like Canva, CapCut, and iMovie that make editing simple and professional looking. If you don't have the time, one video a week is better than nothing. Start with what you already do have. Repurpose your sermons, your devotionals, testimonies. And if you don't know where to start, well, hopefully that's why you're watching this video. And I've got 3 action steps for you to take this week. First thing you can do is pick one platform to focus on, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. Then, step 2, choose a content type. Sermon clips, Q&A videos, behind the scenes moments. And then step 3 is film and post one video this week. No perfection needed, just start. Rome wasn't built in a day. All these churches we like to look at, they were not built overnight. And hey, if this video was helpful, hit like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. And let me know in the comments, what's your biggest challenge with digital ministry? Let's talk about it.